With AEW's new TV deal looming this week and the announcement of the new show Collision, it begs the question, is AEW taking on too many TV shows? Are they taking on too much content to handle? Are they stretching themselves too thin? Perhaps. We've always heard Eric Bischoff talk about this, where he always said that everything was fine and dandy with WCW when it was just Nitro. And Saturday Night, of course, they produced that. But when they were asked to take on the next show, Thunder, that's when everything went downhill. A second show, they were stretched too thin. The roster got fucking played out. It was all downhill from there. So Eric Bischoff has always been very doom and gloom about this sort of thing. And he was just the same here on the Strictly Business podcast, where he said it straight up that he thinks AEW is going to be spreading themselves too thin. Check out this clip.
To create yet another show, this makes 3 for AEW right now, which I think they're in way over their head, by the way. I think eventually downstream, this is going to prove to be a real challenge for AEW, just like it was for WWE and certainly like it was for me. Too much, and I've said this from day one, this is not new. Diluting your brand and diluting your core story with ancillary programming, while financially viable and exciting, eventually comes back to bite you in the ass, because you're just diluting your own product. And eventually you dilute it to the point where no one feels like they have to watch anything. I don't have to watch Dynamite because I can watch Rampage. I don't have to watch Rampage because I can watch Saturday Night. I don't have to watch Saturday Night because I can watch Max. I don't have to watch any of it because I can get it on my computer. So the more content you have, unless it's really, really unique to each other, the chances of diluting your core product and your audience is significant.
I completely disagree, and here's why. SmackDown. SmackDown started in what, 1999? It's almost 25 years old. WWE has been producing 2 TV shows a week for 25 years. Plus main event and whatever the fuck else they have. Superstars, is that still a thing? Superstars, they have that show. And Raw's 3 hours. So with AEW taking on Collision, another 2-hour show every week, added to Rampage, added to Dynamite. That's 5 hours of fucking TV now that they have to produce. Well, part of it was they were already producing another 2 hours of TV per week with Dark and Dark Elevation. It was just for YouTube, not national TV. So they were still producing 2 more hours of pro wrestling content, but I feel like it'll be different now. You know, Dark and Dark Elevation were designed for indie guys and up-and-comers and squash matches and showcases and reps. That's something that Tony's not going to want to do with these new shows. Rampage, he's already losing. Rampage is already a shit show. And that could be a sign of things to come for Collision and Dynamite. Rampage was good for like a month when it started. And then it just shit fucking week after week after week. It continued to drop in the ratings. And Tony Khan did nothing about it. There was no reason to make it a priority show to watch. He booked the shitty matches on there. And sure, if you like a good wrestling match, you like to watch matches for the sake of watching matches, then you got Rampage and you got more content that you can enjoy. But was it ever must-see other than when CM Punk debuted? No, not really. I don't think there was ever anything that was really must-see on Rampage. And then Tony Khan said this was after the summer where they lost Punk and Bryan Danielson was injured and Adam Cole was injured and they were short a lot of guys. And Tony Khan's excuse was for Rampage being a failure, he said at a press conference, was that he needed his star power on Dynamite. And then now that he's getting some of his talent back, that they're going to be cleared soon or whatever, that he would start making Rampage a priority again. And he hasn't. Part of this is because Rampage is taped, too. I see a lot of people commenting online that the reason they don't watch Rampage or care about Rampage is because they already know the results. They can just look them up because it's pre-taped. That could be. You could just not look up the spoilers. I don't look up the spoilers. But I also don't watch Rampage or care. And guess what? I'm not missing anything. Right? Very few times has there ever been a reason for me to seek out Rampage. The final delete, or what was that one that they just, the firm deletion. They put it on YouTube. That would have been, I was actually thinking about checking out Rampage. Not live. Nobody's watching TV at that late on a Friday night. Sorry if you are. My apologies. But I thought about seeking it out, but then they put it on YouTube. So, no need to watch the rest of the show. Who cares? And I think maybe the other one was when Ruby Soho was all busted open. They had that crazy women's fucking debacle, blood bath match that they had there. But rarely do I care about Rampage. So is that a sign that Collision is going to be much the same? Plus, Tony Khan's got Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, Rampage, Dynamite, Collision. That's a lot of fucking TV to book while you're also working, for the Jaguars, running the Jags, and you're also running Fulham, and you also got your stats company that he's got. Plus, he's a nerd who likes to watch wrestling, so he's probably watching all the other wrestling out there, too. WWE and indie stuff and Impact and New Japan. And fuck, man, where does this guy find time in the day without a pile of cocaine in front of him? I hope he knows that, Tony Khan. Why everybody thinks he's a coke addict is because he has entirely too much work to do, yet does it. And he's always fucking nervous and awkward and rambling. And his eyes are always like this. And he never blinks. Thank you to our great AEW fans. Next week we have a huge announcement coming for you this Wednesday on Dynamite. You can blink. You can take a breath. You can slow it down a little bit. He's got a girlfriend. I wonder what she thinks about all that shit. It's probably he's just a money mark to her too, right? Maybe not. Maybe they're in love. The fuck do I know? That was a rude thing to say and even speculate on, but really. I wonder how she feels about his nervous, twitchy, bug-eyed ass. It's weird. It's weird. Unless he's on cocaine. Then it's not weird. Then it's explained. And then you go, oh yeah, well, that makes sense then. He's on cocaine. If you're on cocaine, you look like that, you act like that, you got energy to do it. I almost guarantee the motherfucker's on cocaine. You already know he's on the weed. It's already been said. I think there was a couple people who've come out and said they've smoked weed with Tony Khan. Weed's a gateway drug, so clearly he has access to cocaine now, doesn't he? And all the money in the world to play. And reason to take it. I'm just speculating here. We're just speculating. I do worry that Collision or Dynamite could be significantly watered down. I do. I think he needs help now. And I think that's what that hire from Will Washington was, a very strategic hire to help keep Tony Khan organized, to keep, continuity, and make sure that everybody's getting used on the roster. Everybody talked about how Tony Khan had this bloated ass roster. Well, now he's got a place for each of them. And I don't know, you heard Meltzer say, or it wasn't in this clip, it was in a previous clip, Meltzer said that the brand split's still up in the air. I almost burped. That wouldn't have been good for content. It's no good for content. That the brand split thing is sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. I don't know that they need it. Just do a soft one. Maybe Punk is on Collision more, and if he's not, maybe when he's on Dynamite, the Bucks are on Collision. Miro's back now. Thunder Rosa's back. You got Jade with the TBS title, which is basically a world title at this point because she's made it so strong. You got the All Atlantic title you can do on one show, or the what international title it is now, and then the TBS TNT title on the other show. World title on both brands, tag titles on one show, the trios titles on another. And it doesn't need to be a hard split. You can switch them back and forth, but you got room for all of this content now. You've got somewhere to showcase it. Rumors are a lot of the indie guys and underutilized talent will be getting more work in Ring of Honor now. I don't know what they're going to be doing with Rampage. I don't know if it's going to be like a main event or Superstars, or if they're just going to kind of keep it the way it is, where it's kind of pointless and nobody cares, but they still have some decent matches on there. But Dynamite and Collision need to be newsworthy. How do you do that? You gotta have help on your booking team. You got your Will Washington there. That's great, but he's your continuity guy. He's your making sure everything's kind of working across the board on all the different media and all that. But you also have to have a creative team around you. I've heard Chris Jericho is heavily involved. Jake the Snake was just talking about that on his podcast. He had said that Chris Jericho was significantly involved in everything backstage, and even went as far as to say he's the most powerful man in wrestling right now, or one of. That's a very high statement from Jake the Snake. Now, obviously, he's not the most powerful man in wrestling, but one of. He's probably running a lot of shit backstage. Bring him in closer. Bring in a creative team. You got Jeff Jarrett there. I would put Jeff Jarrett in front of Ring of Honor and not even think about Ring of Honor. Oversee it. Watch the show. Send notes to Jarrett. That's it. Watch the show when it's produced. Send notes. You don't even need to approve the script necessarily, or the card or the matches or the angles or the storylines or anything like that. Just watch the show. Trust that Jeff will take it in a good direction. Send notes every week. Didn't like this, more of this, less of this. Let's do this with this guy. He can add his input. Let's push I want this guy as the champion, all of that. He can do that, but he doesn't need to book the intricacies of it. Lean on Jeff Jarrett. Lean on other people. Be a decider at this point. You've grown to a point where there's too much work for you to write down in your stupid little notebook. Be a decider. Like George W. Bush. I'm a decider. That's really it. Put people in charge of the shit, and then you won't be stretched too thin, and use talent separately. I don't care if it's a hard split. I don't particularly like hard brand splits, but fuck it. You got enough talent for it, and it will give everybody a reason to want to watch both shows. Definitely do not use the same wrestlers on both shows or continue the same storyline on both shows. That will dilute everything. That's what happened with Thunder. That was the problem with Thunder. Also, according to Bischoff, he wasn't getting any more money to produce that either, which didn't help their bottom line at all. But they also didn't do a brand split. Bischoff always likes to fancy himself the originator of the brand split idea. We were going to create an NWO and a WCW, and they were going to be two separate things. Sure. But we just didn't. Instead, we used all the guys on both shows all the time. That can't happen with these two. It's got to be, you got to only see Miro once a week. You got to only see Punk once a week. FTR once a week. And I think if you're able to do that and you have help creating storylines, compelling storylines, help booking matches. Have somebody book your undercard shit for you. The stuff that doesn't mean as much. Tony can sit down with his stupid little notebook and he can book out all his main events and all his top stars and all of his title matches, all his main storylines that he wants to do still if he likes. Then let somebody fill out the rest of the card with fluff or undercard storylines. Delegate, trust people, oversee them, overrule them if you need to, replace them if you need to. But you don't need to do it all yourself. But if he's able to bring in help, which it looks like he's trying to do at the very least, he's got help now on the talent relations side. And now he's got help at least with I don't remember Will Washington's official title, but he's going to help Tony kind of keep track of all this shit, more or less. Keep it all organized and on point. And I think Will's going to be great for that, by the way. He's a smart guy. I think people criticizing that hire are, I don't know. I don't want to say they're stupid, but they're fucking stupid, right? I mean, Will Washington, smart guy, just because he's never worked in the business before. Sometimes you need that outside guy, that outside perspective. He's got a good mind for the business. He's smart. He'll do just fine. Tony needs more help, and he needs to keep those rosters separate, or at least separate talent on each show. I don't care which way they do it, brand split or FTRs on Dynamite one week and Collision the next week, or however you want to do it. That's the way to succeed, and WWE has a proven fucking model. There's your model. WWE has produced 2 shows, 3 shows for 25 years. 24 years. I think the SmackDown 25-year anniversary will be next year in 2024. It's insane. Fucking insane. But it can obviously be done. But WWE also has a big machine. It wasn't Vince McMahon sitting down with his notebook fucking booking it out week to week, Booker of the Year style, you know? That's why he wasn't Booker of the Year, though. He doesn't have the notebook, you see. I'm curious what you guys think. What are your thoughts on the new shows? Is AEW stretching themselves too thin? Certainly they're in danger of it. I think we've made that clear. It's a possibility. But if Tony makes all the right moves, delegates, keeps the rosters separated for the most part, he's got people to help with storylines, and he fucks off with Ring of Honor altogether, I think that they can make it work. But I'm curious your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, and you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Oh yeah, dig it.